I call this meeting of Central Board of Facilitators Toastmasters Club 9958 to order. Thank you all for being here tonight. Please turn down all of your cell phones at this time. You're a guest for, you've been here before, right?
I have.
Okay, do you know where the restrooms are? At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience. It was meant to empower to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our third and first leader for this evening, Charlie Lavalier. You need to understand that life isn't what you're given. It's what you create, what you conquer, and what your aim to achieve. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, please help me welcome our president, Mr. Jonathan Toni.
Everybody, thank you so much for coming out this fine Wednesday night. As a refresher, we are called the facilitators for 3 reasons. We are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators. We're open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader, and Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy, possible. We want to make things easy and possible for you tonight. We have some really exciting announcements, but before we jump into those announcements, we have some guests tonight, some familiar faces, one of which is the mother of one of our speakers tonight. Wish that I knew her name, but the speaker referred to her as Mom, and it was very warm, so I went with that. I was honored that he referred to her as Mom. That's a special place in my heart. So Mom, would you stand up and share with us who you are, why you're here?
First off, it's really a pleasure to be with this beautiful group. I know you not only improve yourselves, but whomever you come into contact with, they are improved as well. I am Sister Jean Riggs. I am a chaplain with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and I'm what you call out in the streets, doing what needs to be done to take care of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Thank you. Now I know where he gets all his skills from. Wow, that was really good. And Susan Stevens' daughter is here, so let's hear from her about her summer. What's going on?
Hi, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Emma Hancock. I'm Susan's daughter and Stephen's stepdaughter, and I come here mostly because it's fun to come here, and I learn a lot, and I don't generally like speaking out loud, and actually this has helped me, even though I haven't done much, especially the table topics I do occasionally. So, yep.
Even though your wisdom teeth were coming in, I'm sure Renju will like calling on you tonight for some table topics.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, while we were there, I was on the phone with one of our members, John Roberts. As you know, he had a hole in his frontal lobe of his brain, and there was a tumor going on in there, and he was in a rehab facility. being in the hospital, and he was actually supposed to be in the rehab facility for 30 days. He's actually at home. He's doing so well. They let him out. He sounds really good on the phone. So he hopes to be back soon, and I didn't go into details with him, but our prayers helped. He said his prognosis is very, very good, and he really sounded happy. So not much more that you could ask for than that. We have a contest coming up.
Why are you looking at me?
Yeah, I was actually looking at that. She took me down last year. August 21st. 20th, yeah, sorry, that date was also.
That's
good.
why you get rid of the competition.
August 20th. Toni, am I correct in saying that you are, before you go out for your surgery, you're going to be the contest master?
That's correct.
So is there anything you'd like, I know it's early, stand up and get this thing rolling.
There is a sign-up sheet going around for the first 3 weeks of August, which are regular meetings, and then the contest as well. So we will, if you want to be a speaker, if you're even thinking about it, just write your name down. It just helps in the planning. Also, we're going to need some different types of functionaries. Somebody can help me here. I think it's 2 timers, 2 sergeant-at-arms, two boat counters, and we'll be inviting people from other clubs to come in and judge possibly. We do need a chief judge. If anyone here has done that before, I believe Gail won't be here. She usually steps up into that role, so we'll need somebody to step up and organize the judges. It is the humorous speech contest and evaluation contest. Am I right? Yep. Thank you. I just stepped into this.
And this is something we'll have announcements on every week.
You know, and some of you have already given humorous speeches and evaluations in here. So it's really not that much different. I would encourage you to enter the contest, you know, and don't worry about functionaries, signing up for functionaries. Let us find help from other clubs. Get some experience with this. Only one person can win, but it's a great experience because it's a different feeling being out there giving your speech and giving your evaluation. Also, in the past, we've had I think more with the evaluations, first evaluator, second evaluator not be able to go on to the next contest. So even if you come in third, there's a chance that you can go on into the competition. There will be an area contest and then division contest, I'm a little rusty, and then the district competition. So that's how far you can go. The district, I know somebody knows where the district conference is. Jacksonville. In November.
Party of the Century, November 14th through the 16th.
So I know some of you traveled, but if you're going to be at that meeting, I mean, you've already given, I'm looking at a bunch of you've already given a humorous speech. Work on it, fix it up, practice it, and then there's a contest. You've already evaluated somebody, we'll have a guest speaker come in, and it's a regular evaluation. So I really encourage you to do it.
It is my very first week that I joined, literally. I signed up in the contest and went against Steven. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was so fun.
First week, you did it 5 minutes before.
But really, I mean, the thing
We
is,
got your check, didn't we?
I may look at things too deeply sometimes, but jumping in and doing that like helped me in so many areas of my life. Just doing it, not caring what anybody thought. And I will be competing this time. Humorous speech will be on food preservatives. My parents told me if I gave that speech, they might already consider kicking me out. Because I did it for them over the weekend. It was just another one of my real life tales. I figured out it was food preservatives that led me to Toastmasters after all this reflection. That's what got me here, food preservatives. Yes, Toni.
I also wanted to let everyone know I'm taking notes for our secretary. Since Gail had volunteered to do it and she's out of town still, so if there's any I may have some questions at the end of the meeting, so I'll get you if I need you.
And our contest too, I mean, there's food there, there's drink. It's really a fun event, kind of along the lines of the one we just recently had. I'm really excited tonight because we have another person jumping into the Toastmaster role. Not that they haven't done it before, but they haven't been super regular, so it's almost like getting a brand new person up here. And I always applaud someone taking that plunge, Alan. James? Animals, vegetables, minerals. Hey, Michelle, really curious where that's going to go. Animals, vegetables, minerals. Our Toastmaster this evening truly needs no introduction at all. She's sweet, she's genuine, she's always willing to help out. She's nearly at every darn meeting, and that would be competent communicator, Miss Linda Earls.
Did he just tell you all that I wasn't regular? With all the vegetables I eat, trust me, I am regular. And I welcome you to this meeting of the Central Florida Facilitators. Our theme tonight takes in pretty much everything, as I think specifically animal, vegetable, and mineral. I don't know that there's anything that can be categorized otherwise. So we have a wide open expanse in front of us, and I know you'll enjoy it. I'll be telling you some stories as we progress through with our time together, including those three categories. And the first one, of course, is animals. And I quickly want to show you these pictures, and I know you can't see the details back there, but I'm pretty sure you can tell what they are. And it's mommies and daddies in the animal kingdom, and I'll be talking about my experience with my mommy and daddy. I was the youngest, and so I was a little bit spoiled, of course. And somebody was always at home to greet me when I came home from school. We had a lot of fun doing things together. I don't ever remember being in daycare. My mom was always there to do things. Never was scared, always had somebody to be with, hang around with, kind of thing. And we, as a happy group, did a lot of fun stuff out in the woods, camping. And at the end of the day, I always knew my mother and father loved each other. And we didn't always see eye to eye. Sometimes they had to punish me. But my father was not a disciplinarian. He liked to get in trouble and do stuff with me as well. And it probably wasn't always convenient to have to watch over all the kids. I would put a damper on things. I was always tagging along. And I always had that companionship, never felt afraid. They didn't baby me too much, though. Always had a wing to stand under when things got rough, though. Actually learned to swim, do a lot of fun things. My parents were pretty bright. I'm hoping that rubbed off a little bit. But they did try to keep me humble. And they tried to make a circus performer out of me. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce our functionaries this evening. Susan Morgan as the Wizard of Oz. Could you tell us about that a bit?
My job is to keep track of audible clutches, such as ah or and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words like and, or, like, so. That's my favorite ones. And I will sound a buzzer when any of these infractions are heard. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be buzzed or fined, but I will keep track of their infractions. If you get buzzed, which is a big if for me because I have a hard time doing both jobs at the same time, it's not to embarrass or criticize anybody, it's just to remind us of a place that needs to be upgraded. Madam,
Thank you. Stephen Morgan, would you talk on the grammarian role, please?
Talk on the grammarian role. I'm not sure that was grammatically correct.
Later.
As grammarian, I have the role of keeping track of how we're using the English language to take note of the interesting and not so good uses. And I'm also supposed to expand your vocabulary, the word of the day, well, with the theme being animal, vegetable, mineral. The only thing that popped to mind was the modern Major General from Pirates of Penzance. Did that come to anyone else? Now that you've been down so I had to go look up those lyrics. Out of there, I found a good word to work with. Plucky. By definition, it means having or showing determined courage in the face of difficulties. So Toastmasters are very plucky when they have to deal with a difficult word to fit in their speaking today. You have the opportunity to speak, and you've already given your icebreaker. Find a way to get that word in, or you will quote it.
Thank you so much. And Mr. George Elias as timer.
One of the skills of a Toastmaster is practice expressing a thought within a specific time. As a timer, I'll be responsible for monitoring the time of each speaker in each meeting segment. I will operate the timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. For the prepared speeches, to qualify voting, speakers must speak no less than 30 seconds under the minimum range and no more than 30 seconds over the range maximum. I will turn the green light at a minimum range, the yellow light at mid-range, and the red light at range maximum. For table topic speakers to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute, no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Green light 1 minute, yellow light 1.5 minutes, and the red light at 2 minutes. For evaluations, to qualify, evaluators must speak a minimum of 1 minute and 30 seconds and a maximum of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Green light at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2.5, and red light at 3 minutes. Madam Toastmaster.
And we will roll right into the speech.
Got another.
Oh, we've got a vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Vote Counter.
As vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Your name? It's escaping me.
Mine, Michelle.
Michelle.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda.
Our first speaker tonight is following up on Jonathan's advice, giving a speech so he can learn by doing. Working through the CC manual, project number 6, vocal variety. Please welcome James Riggs.
Fish discover, water last. It's the 1940s. World War II is over. America is experiencing an economic boom like never before. Amongst other things, people are eating out in restaurants like never before. It's to the point the restaurant industry cannot keep up with the business. Along with the soldiers coming home from the battlefield, there's an awkward change in the pecking order within the restaurant industry. The GIs are taking over the position of cook, a position once held, along with Rosie the Riveter, by women. These displaced cooks who have been asked to step down to a lower paying and lower status position of waitress, understandably are not happy about it. They go out to the restaurant, they take an order from a customer, they walk back to the kitchen, and they're not always polite when they give the order. Now these veterans, these gnarled seniors of World War II, do not like taking orders from women, especially when there's an insubordinate tone attached to it. So these cooks take revenge. The first thing they do is slow down. Then they accidentally get the order wrong. See, they know that the waitress has to go out and deal with the customer who is very angry now. So the poor waitress doesn't have it bad enough. She has to deal with an angry customer. She goes back into that kitchen and she gives that cook a piece of her mind. And make no mistake about it, he's not an innocent victim. He's got some colorful metaphors to give back. So guess what? We've got a loud, profane, shouting match in the kitchen. It's so loud, the customers out here can hear it. So what happens? What do you suppose? Not hard to predict, right? We've got customers, we've got employees, and they are walking out in mass. Desperate for a solution, the restaurant industry taps into a professor of psychology. His name is Dr. William Foote White. Now, the esteemed Dr. White goes to a number of restaurants, and he quickly sees exactly what they told him. Waitress takes the order. She goes to the kitchen, has a colorful exchange with the cook, and we've got problems. So ask yourself, take a brief second to ask yourself, what would you do to solve this problem? Most people think interpersonal skills training. Others might tell you, let's go with team building exercises. Not Dr. White. He wanted to indirectly affect behavior and indirectly affect the way they communicate. Now, White's spark of wisdom. A 50-cent metal spindle. Now this came with 2 minutes mind you, of training. The waitress was to go to the customer and write down a detailed order of what he would like. She would then walk back to the kitchen, place the order on the metal spindle without comment. The cook would turn it around, grab the order, and he would fill it in the most economic way, usually though, first in, first out. The results were immediate. Everyone from the cook to the waitress to the customer reported a much better experience. The cook and the waitress, they were happy with the setup. They thought that they had a better working environment. Now, if you didn't think of this solution, you're in good company. The majority of people would have looked at the direct behavior, interpersonal skills, right? That's what they would have done. So why is it that we don't look at the physical environment as a means to influence? Sometimes we see things every day. It becomes so routine that it's imperceptible. It's relegated to our subconscious, and we don't focus on it as a means to influence. Now you may be thinking, James, that's all well and good, and I appreciate what happened in the 1940s, good for them. But what has it got to do with me? And what has it got to do with now? Here's the answer. Toastmasters is about communication and what? Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, leadership is influence. I support interpersonal skills. I support and applaud people who go for a direct influence in changing a behavior. University of California, Berkeley just released a study. They tell us that the average person will experience one traumatic incident a year. So they're saying that either you currently are, or you're about to go through a traumatic incident. And what does that have to do with this? Traumatic incidents are hand in hand with conflict many times. So aside from just the direct influence, look at the physical environment. What can you add, take away from, or rearrange to increase and have a meaningful impact on the influence that you want? Fish discover, water last. That's
Excellent, thank you so much. Our next speaker, Charlie Bombalier. Oh, could I have 1 minute for the comments? Speaker has been a member of Toastmaster on and off for 5 years. He has recently dedicated himself to achieving the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. He has won many first place speeches, awards, but none as dear to his heart as the International Club speech he won this past spring. To this Toastmaster, it has become a healing process being a Toastmaster and seeing others progress in the club. Please help me welcome Charles Bombalier on his speech, Conquering Fear.
Our plucky president, Renju, famously asserted, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I believe he was right. A simple 4-letter word can destroy relationships, business, and dreams. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Fear, like any emotion, is a learning process. It's actually information. It becomes simple if we choose to accept it, that we can conquer fear. But in reality, we never conquer fear. We just manage it. There are 5 primary fears in this world. Ego death, fear of humiliation, shame, or any other mechanism of profound self-disapproval. Fear of shattering the sense of lovability, friendship, and worthiness. Fear of failure can be an ego death fear. The second one is extinction, fear of losing our lives. Imagine the fear that you get when you're locked in a completely dark room, or when you're looking over a high building the edge of a high building. The third one is mutilation. Fear of losing any part of our body, or organs for that matter. The fourth is loss of autonomy. Fear of being paralyzed, controlled by circumstances, overwhelmed and trapped. There's no way out. And the fifth is separation. Fear of abandonment, rejection, fear of losing friendships, a loved one. All other fears are derivatives of these 5 primary fears. At one time or another, I have owned each one of these fears. Hell, to tell you the truth, I've owned all of them at one time altogether. I own each and every one of those. I am an expert on fear. I have let at one time or another fear consume me so much that it has literally brought me to my knees, almost to an unconscious state. I have done nothing but stare at a wall for hours, not knowing what I was, who I was, and why, from fear. To accumulate all these fears at one time is something that you wish on no one. And I know that all these fears and the accumulation of all these fears obviously came from my childhood. Being in desperate situations that I couldn't control, that I couldn't manage, I didn't know what the hell to do. But the demons came inside of me. All these little demons. And I admire people that will come up in front of you and say, I conquered fear. I just met fear and went through it. Great. To those people that can say that, I say great. And I have done that. I have had to build myself up the ladder, rung by rung, and get out of the cave to be able to breathe enough to say, I can overcome this fear. I can do this. Honest to God, I can do it. The one thing that I can tell you is that fear is never really conquered. You learn how to manage it. When we accept the fact that fear is actual brain information. Let me give you a quick example. Of course, if I have an attack dog wanting to chew my leg off, that's a fear right there. I'm going to pick up my legs and run as fast as I can. Get the hell away from it. On the other side of that is I can look at that dog and say, I'm not running away from you because I'm going to kill you and I'm going to stare you down. And I've done that. I have stared a dog down that was going to chew me up because fear gave me such anger that it overrode the fear of fleeing. That's managing your fears. I want you to remember one last thing. There is nothing more devastating than your own brain. Madam Toastmaster.
I need 1 minute comments. Thank you. Pat is currently working on getting her Advanced Communicator Bronze. Very soon, she will be hosting a 25th anniversary party for the Look Good, Feel Better program at the American Cancer Society. As the state trainer and volunteer coordinator for the program, Pat will be receiving an award for 25 years of service. Pat will be doing Project 5 from the Advanced Communications Series Special Occasion Speeches, accepting an award. Her objective is to acknowledge the presenting organization and accept the award with dignity, grace, and sincerity. Let's welcome Pat.
Look at this. Isn't this awesome? Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am just so honored to receive this gift. And can you believe it's 25 years? Holy cow, 25 years. Where did the time go? I want you to know that I have the same passion today that I had 25 years ago for the Look Good, Feel Better program. I'm just speechless. This is such a great program, and I am absolutely proud to be here to represent the American Cancer Society and all of our wonderful volunteers. I still remember my very first workshop. As a facilitator, I had to talk to about 10 or 12 women, take them through a facial, help them deal with side effects they were experiencing from cancer. I cannot tell you how nervous I was. But fortunately, there was a social worker there who was always part of our program. And she says to me, Pat, don't worry, you can do this. No problem. And you know what? If you forget something, nobody's going to know. Was that not wonderful? Made my day, although it was still very challenging for me to have to get up in front of the room. Now, here it is, 10 years later. I've been a facilitator for 10 years, and I now become the area coordinator and the state trainer, which means I teach all of our volunteers how to conduct a Look Good, Feel Better program. As you can see, this is how I get in front of the room when I have to do a class. I go, oh, girls, please, let me borrow your book. Where was I? So now I'm back on track. And I would like to give special thanks to our coordinators, to our social workers. Those are the people who help us keep our program working well. I want to mention Chuck Maselli and Carol Durier. Both of them have been there for 10 plus years, and they are dedicated to making this program continue. They teach and they educate all of the volunteer social workers that are connected with different hospitals, different cancer locations, and they support the program. By helping women combat the side effects of cancer, we give them confidence, we encourage them, and in turn, they inspire us. Did you know that annually we hold over 15,000 Look Good, Feel Better workshops nationwide? We have 2,500 locations across the country. Plus, we have 900,000 graduates from the Look Good, Feel Better program. Doesn't get any better than that. We make a difference. I also want to mention the three collaborators. The three collaborators spearheaded this program in 1989. They are the American Cancer Society, the Professional Beauty Association, and Personal Care Product Council Foundation, which is the Cosmetic and Toiletry Association. Everybody's got to new and improve their names. Do you realize that they gave $15.2 million they have donated over the past 25 years? I also want to mention the Cosmetology Association. That's our hairdressers. That's our professional techs, makeup people, nail techs, whatever is involved in the beauty company. They continue to educate us, certify us, keep us updated, and help recruit volunteers. My favorite, the American Cancer Society, they're the go-between for all of us. They do everything. Every part of everything I've just said, they make work. I want to give my personal thanks to the American Cancer Society. Because of their research, cancer is no longer a death sentence. And as a survivor, I thank them for creating more birthdays. Now I'd like to talk about area trainers and our coordinators and all the other volunteers that are involved in so many ways in this program. We have the staff partners at the Cancer Society. We deal with national and division. All of these together, so many people, we have a beautiful program, and we're all very passionate about it. I'd like to mention Dorothy Hardy. She was my first staff partner 10 years ago when I became the area trainer and the area coordinator. She's still with us. I am not the only person who has done 20-plus years as a volunteer for the American Cancer Society. We have Michael Howell, Sheila Campoli. Both of them were state trainers and retired after 25 years. They both trained me. I want you to know that no matter how many years, weeks, months, or days that you have put some time and service into this wonderful program, you make a difference, and you are truly appreciated. Now I'm going to turn it over to my staff partner, and she will take us from here. And before I leave, I want to say thank you, and I will wear this proudly.
Thank you. 1 minute on the clock. Covered animals, and now vegetables. And I have never met a vegetable I did not like. I was a weird little kid. The most I could say a disfavorite would be lima beans, because they're a little bit dry, but I've learned to love lima beans. And my brother loved lima beans, so we ate them all the time. So I should have learned to love them as we went along, but that didn't happen quite in childhood. But the only time animals and vegetables clash, that's when it became a problem for me. I remember one time I was walking by my parents' bedroom and my father had a rifle out the bedroom window, which isn't as scary as it sounds because there was no houses behind us and it was a BB rifle. But I came in the room and said, "What are you doing, Dad?" Because I knew something furry was out in our garden. And he said that there was a rabbit in the garden and that we can't just let it eat everything up. And I was like, oh no! And so he says, but come on outside for a minute. So I went out with him and we see this rabbit and all the fleas were jumping off him like crazy. And my father was kind of like the science guy, so I was kind of amazed he could get my mind off the whole ugliness of it because somehow, because it was becoming cold, the fleas knew that the animal died and they were just like jumping off like a sinking ship. It was amazing. So that took my mind off it for the moment. And he always was good for showing you something else to think about. And he had a lot of he was a scientist, so he kind of got into all those odd little things. And now let's get into some table topics. Oops, I'm sorry, you're right. The timer report, please.
I'm Toastmaster. All speeches were 5 to 7 minutes. James Drake spoke for 6 minutes 29 seconds. Charlie Bombardier 6 minutes 57 seconds. Pat Stugner 6 minutes 12 seconds. They all qualified.
Okay. Vote. Best speaker.
Just waiting for you.
Renju is stepping out to take on a new role. We have noted that he has an active imagination, and we are looking forward to some creative questions to challenge us.
Thank you, Renju. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, any Toastmasters meeting be complete without the most interesting and plucky segment? Definitely not. Guests, this is our segment for impromptu speaking. Table Toastmaster asks a question and you get a chance to talk for about 1 to 2 minutes regarding the topic. Would you like to participate?
Respectfully, if I might decline.
No pressure. Emma.
Yeah, sure. Why
Perhaps
not?
next
Because
time.
everybody-
Thank you.
Because somebody's goading me right here. I did last,
Right, do you call in
The-
a member for the first couple? Call in a member.
Yeah, sure. So when I think about animals, the first thing comes to my mind is the Disney's Animal Kingdom. Disney's Animal Kingdom was opened on Earth Day, April 22nd, 1998. And it covers about 500 acres. It's also the first Disney theme park to be themed entirely around animal conservation. So Toni, in the midst of disappearing several animal species, how can you contribute, or what would you recommend to animal conservation to let our next generations see some beautiful creatures on Earth?
Well, every day I get mail, regular mail, and everybody wants money. And some of them are the animal conservations. I will be generous and email you the address and names of these organizations so that you can send a check and be supportive this summer and perhaps ongoingly to these organizations. Now, I don't exactly know a lot about conservation, but I know a lot about dogs and cats that are abused because Sarah McLachlan is always on television at 2 a.m. singing that gorgeous song about the angels and wanting you to be an angel to contribute to save our pets. And I am an animal lover. Dogs, cats I would love more if I wasn't highly allergic to them. But if you love cats and if you love dogs, send your money in, go volunteer at the local shelter, go Rent a dog. Adopt a dog, adopt a cat. They will bring you joy. Mr. Table Topic.
Now on to vegetables. The best way to get a healthy diet is to include some vegetables in your diet. And including salads in your diet is the best way to include vegetables before the meal. So, Stephen, what are the essential ingredients of a vegetable salad? And what is your opinion about organic farming?
Mr. Table Topics Master, I believe that the most important ingredients to a vegetable salad are going to be vegetables. It's not going to be quite enough. You have to have a little bit more than something else. So you have to add a ham in there for it to be worthwhile. For organic farming, my opinion on it is it's best as long as everything on the farm, at least that comes out of it, I suppose, is organic. If it's not, I'm not quite sure what it is you're growing. Even the mold is organic. Therefore, it's kind of hard to say exactly what that's going to mean in the end. So many different regulations in place as to what organic may mean, because what definition may be legally doesn't necessarily mean we all agree on it. At the very basic level of the dictionary, organic means that it was at some point edible to somebody, something. Even various poisonous things for us are technically organic. So calling something organic doesn't necessarily make it better. A vegetable salad in and of itself doesn't mean that it's a great thing either. You can have a vegetable salad of many different things but get nothing nutritious out of it if you happen to choose the wrong vegetables. Therefore, it's not a question of following those particular words, following the particular trend that's going around right now. Figure out what it is that you need. No one diet fits in everybody perfectly because we all have our own different metabolisms and our own different needs. So you have to figure out what is good for you. What works for someone else might be something that's very bad for you. So far, I've managed to find a lot of things that are not good for me. It's a process of experimenting. I can try the vegetable salads more. I actually tend to go for the dark green leafy plants because I don't generally like the crunchy ones near so much. Turns out those dark green leafy ones have all the good vitamins and things. Problem is, I want to eat something else too. That's a topic, I'm afraid.
Some studies have shown that healthiest kind of bottled water is mineral water. And drinking the water each day can help you enhance your overall health and well-being. But the problem is the plastic used in bottling. How can you reduce the use of plastic? Mark.
How do we reduce the use of plastic? Mr. Table Topics Master, that is an excellent question. I use a lot of plastic. Everybody uses plastic every day. Luckily, we have this thing called recycling. Unfortunately, not enough people participate in it because the process is kind of difficult and cumbersome for a lot to follow. Like Stephen was saying earlier with the organic and rules and regulations, every city has their own rules and regulations. When can you put the plastic bin out? When can you put the cartons out on your yard? I never know what day is what. And when I get home from work, mine is always the bin sitting in the driveway when everybody else's is gone. I drink out of glass containers, and I reuse them. I wash them and I reuse them. I don't reuse plastic too much, although I guess you could do it 1 or 2 times and not get too much germ trouble. But other than that, I would say as long as people buy plastic bottles, companies will continue to make them and sell them. So if we want to reduce the use of plastic bottles, we'll stop purchasing them. Mr. Tabletop.
try an easy one for you. Going back to the animals, what would you do if you encounter a bear in your neighborhood?
A what?
A bear.
A bear, yes.
The particular areas I live in don't necessarily have bears, although I have encountered bears. In fact, during the last camping trip I went on, my dad fought off a bear in another campsite. So, yeah, that happened, and actually that was a really funny story. If bears actually did come into my neighborhoods, because I live in two places, if they did, they'd probably either find something, eat it, and then go away, or somebody would have to drive them away. I don't necessarily know how this works very well, but usually somebody would probably come and take care of it if that ever had to happen. If somebody had to take care of it and somebody was around, my dad could do it if he needed to, or our neighbors could do it or something. But considering I live in one area, I live near a golf course. The other one, I live in a townhome. So I don't think bears, if they get big enough, can fit even between the two rows of townhouses. So they'd be outside across the street in the park. So, yeah.
One more.
One more? Alan. What is your favorite wild animal?
I'm sorry.
What's your favorite wild animal?
Wild animal.
Wild animal, okay. All right.
That is a very good question. What is my favorite wild animal? Well, I'd have to say my favorite domestic animal is cats. And so therefore, stemming off of that, and me being an extremely large Rocky III fan, I would have to say a tiger would be my favorite wild animal, because there's just something very mysterious about them. They're a very powerful animal, but yet they can be playful at the same time. They can be very elegant, yet they can be rough and just tear whatever it is they're trying to go after. I mean, they can just control it. But they can be so gentle to their cubs and be so, such great mothers, and I think they're just very awesome creatures. And unfortunately, there's too much hunting and different poaching and things like that going on, and they're very threatened and endangered, and it's a very sad thing that those things are hurting these animals that are so great. So I would definitely say tigers, and keep that eye of the tiger.
That concludes today's table topics session. We have status report?
Yes.
For topic animal conservation, Toni Gibbles, 1 minute and 26 seconds, he qualifies. Vegetable salad ingredients and organics, Steve Morgan, 2 minutes and 13 seconds, qualified. Mark Lamphere. No, Mark Lavery.
It's okay.
I just put the initials. Reducing plastic, 1 minute, 5 seconds, he qualifies. Emma, what to do if you encounter a bear? 1 minute and 18 seconds, qualified. Yes. Alan Lamphere, favorite wild animal, 122, he qualifies.
I'm going to tell my quick mineral story while we vote. I went out west with my family to a place in Idaho
Idaho called Craters of the Moon. And it had all lava beds for acres all around, and you could go wherever you wanted. There was no trails, and there was caves underneath that, I don't know how they were formed because it was lava flowing and then it stopped flowing, but I don't understand why it didn't stay filled in. But that part, we got to discover about these caves. My whole family went down, and we found at the top of this big rock pile, there was a tiny little opening, and us 3 kids squirmed in there, and it was a long tube and opened up into a room. We thought, oh, this is great. And we had a flashlight that was kind of dimming, so we got a little nervous. And we noticed at the other end of the little room was a little opening again. So we squirmed a little more, and it opened up into another little room. So we were sitting there going, wow, do we dare go on and on where we don't know if we'll have any light getting back out of here? So we got a little nervous about that. So we went back out on our stomachs to the end, and we were asking my parents, could we come back later? Because the camp, the national park was actually within walking distance of this place. So they said, well, come back for supper and we'll think about it. So actually my brother, who's 6 years older, got to take me back to figure out about this cave with a nice strong battery in the flashlight. So we were good to go, except I fell from the top into the little cave and had a huge cut on my knee and sprained my wrist a little bit. And so he had to carry me back, and we never got to look at it. So that was the end of my mineral expedition, but it was very exciting. Too bad I didn't get to get in there and see if there was more and more rooms one after another. We have our evaluation portion of our meeting, and our evaluator this evening is Mark. And he's been associated with ranks his entire life. In the Marines, he was a sergeant. Growing up, his brother called him Major, a major disappointment. He loves Colonel Sanders and Captain Crunch and shops at Dollar General. But tonight, he is honored to finally be associated with the rank of General himself. Please welcome to the lectern General Evaluator, Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Linda. At ease. Every part of our Toastmasters meeting serves a purpose. The prepared evaluation section of our meeting is one such key component and accomplishes a few things. First, it gives the prepared speakers an opportunity to hear opinions and constructive feedback regarding their speeches, how well they connected with their audience, and how well they met the objectives of their assignment. Secondly, it gives our evaluators the opportunity to work on their listening skills, as well as giving them practice constructing feedback in an organized and positive manner. Thirdly, it gives us all a chance to hear some thoughts on how our meeting overall was conducted in general. We are now entering the prepared evaluation section of our meeting. Jorge, as a reminder, we'll be having 3 evaluations this evening, and each one will be between 2 and 3 minutes in length. Our first evaluator tonight believes that an animal, plant, and mineral should be part of every healthy meal when you are working towards taking your body from good to great. Additionally, he feels evaluating should be part of every healthy Toastmasters meeting when taking speakers from good to great. Here to evaluate the speech of Mr. James Riggs, please welcome to the lectern, Advanced Communicator Gold, Jonathan Hubert Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and of course, James. Facilitators, enjoy James Riggs going first with the lucky title of Fish Discover Water Last. At first, James, I thought, what an epic title. Just the mere title itself had me hanging on to every single word because I didn't know what the heck you were talking about or where it was going. And at first, I'm thinking to myself after waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning today, I didn't want to have a John Grisham novel thrown at me. But your title was a rock star opening. It created a lot of intrigue. And it really left me wanting to follow the rest of your speech. I am a history buff. And I love the body of your speech with a historical perspective on the cooks and the waitresses. And once again, it was like a movie trailer, and you didn't give too much to where I wanted to get to that closing so bad. And that closing of yours was textbook. Everything led up to it, and you gave us the title again, except at that point, I hope everybody got it. It's something I've struggled with my whole life. It was a very valuable lesson on dogma and really not knowing what we don't know. And thinking the struggles of that, we do know it all at times. I thought it was fantastic. Always honored to hear you speak. With that said, I felt like you rushed it a little bit at the end with that closing. So maybe a little more internalization to where you got that timing down just pat. And I would suggest maybe redoing that speech again in a longer variety. Great lesson, your content. James, your language was appropriate. It created imagery. I felt like I was in one of those diners in the 40s, seeing this all go through. You used nice, simple words, and the index was not too deep. My one constructive point there, and you actually did a very fine job at it. Your speech offered a lot of great imagery. In your movement, which I'm going to get into more here in a second when we get to delivery, there was a great opportunity to have a little bit better blending of your imagery with your movements. The main objective of James's speech was vocal variety. And James, you nailed it. There was one part of your speech where you said, slow down. And James slowed down his speech. There was a part where you had to be angry and you pointed, something that everybody realizes is a very angry gesture. Your appearance, James, was excellent. Once again, as far as the delivery goes, you got your hand in your pocket a few times. There was a part where you talked about going down and you could have went down in there. And there was a part where you talked about displacement and you could have displayed yourself in your movement, yet you kind of paced back and forth every time with no real purpose. Rubber bands aren't effective unless they get stretched, James. And you were a stretched rubber band this evening. Mr. General Evaluator.
Animal and vegetable and mineral. I've eaten all three. And James, you have me from the word fish. Our second evaluator tonight joined Toastmasters in January of 2014. And it seems like every week he's evaluating somebody. Luckily for me, he's not evaluating me this week. Can we turn off the windows? So, evaluating the speech of Charlie Bumblebee. Please welcome to the lectern, Alan. Do you know how many calories are in that thing you're eating while
Fellow Toastmasters, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Probably one of the oldest cliches, yet it holds so true. So, what an appropriate introduction for a speech about conquering fear. Now, Charlie's task tonight was project 9 in the book, which was to persuade with power. And Charlie did persuade as far as everything in his speech was very professional and very textbook done. His demeanor, the way he carried himself, his speech,
his use of words, language, vocabulary, a couple parts where he said something a little bit personal, and that was good, but what I was really looking for was something that really gripped us more. Now, his idea for fear with the speech and being persuading could be extremely powerful. And Charlie, you've given us speeches in the past where you've literally had us in tears with how powerful of personal experiences that you've had, and I mean, it's just gripped us. And I felt that your speech would have been much more powerful if you could have just kind of tapped into that a little bit more. And sometimes the things that persuade us the most in life, it isn't just, being textbook, just being well presented, but it's kind of getting off that beaten path and kind of going that different direction, and really that personal experience. And I felt that you could have just tapped into that a bit more, and you could have really made it more powerful and really sold this and persuaded us using that power. You did good use of imagery with the example with the dog, and how it gave you anger, and that every one of those fears, you listed 5 of them, how you've owned every one of them. And it was, as far as where it went, again, it was more spoken and more informative than it was really gripping and storytelling and persuading. So my thought to leave you is just, this could have been a lot more powerful, and the end when you closed it, where you kind of left us hanging, because you spoke about there's nothing more devastating than your own brain, and where that is very true, and that's very powerful, but the idea here was to persuade, and I felt like it more left us hanging than it really was for a call to action, like, okay, I have to go out and do something with this. It just kind of left us thinking instead of with the response of that we want to perform. So overall, very good job, but next time my advice would be to really tap in on persuading by using that personal touch and maybe a little less professionalism.
Toni was recently hired by a local company to present a series of speeches on in-home caregiving services. Her first presentation is August 23rd at a conference for physician office personnel. Toni has a background in the hearing healthcare and hearing aid industries, caregiving, education, management, writing, public speaking, and relationship coaching. Toni is also a former ballroom dance competitor. She has been a Toastmaster for 11 years. Her favorite animal is her 4-year-old white Maltese doggie, Jasmine. She does not eat enough vegetables, and her favorite mineral is diamonds. Today she is looking forward to evaluating the speech of her good friend and mentor, Pat Stogner. Please welcome Toni Gittles.
I'm so glad you didn't start by saying, I've been a volunteer 25 years, it's about time you gave me an award. That was really bad thinking. Pat's speech was accepting an award, and in fact, she's accepting an award Friday night, I think, at the conference. When you accept an award, she she followed the instructions in the manual. There's gratitude, thanking people that played a major role in your achievement, recognition, recognizing the organization, its work, the importance of your own achievements, and be sincere. Convey your feelings regarding appreciation of the board. Be modest, have dignity, be professional. The speech can be read, which she did do. She fulfilled all of those 3 sections of the speech. And you read a little bit, which was fine. I think rehearsing the speech is a good idea, writing it out. I don't know how big your audience is going to be, and if they're all volunteers or affiliated with the organization, that would be nice to know. But they probably know you because you've been around for so long and you've had such an impact on the Central Florida community. So I did like that you worked with the manual and you fulfilled the objectives. I do have some ideas that I think would make the speech more interesting for the audience, as well as get you from good to better. Okay, I like that you received the award. You may want to find out ahead of time exactly how you're going to receive the award. I would suggest that they leave it sitting on the table and give it to you after your speech, because then you're not fussing with it. You can get right into your speech. Also, you may not want to say, "Isn't this awesome? Thank you so much." This is on video, right? Sincerity. You know how to do that. I think you were really nervous when you got up here. And where did holy cow come from? Okay, maybe you were practicing the humor speech and got confused. Okay, be a little more plucky. I love that you told the story, but I don't think it was an effective story, because it sounded like you were overcoming your fear of public speaking as opposed to really contributing to the audience. So talk about your achievements. You know, you mentioned some national numbers. I think you worked in Central Florida, maybe all of Florida at one time. Give us some numbers, because you did that. You trained 100 or 200 people. You had 200,000 people go through your program. And what were the benefits? Make sure people know the benefits. I'm sure you got lots of hugs at the end of your 2-hour workshop. She gave these women confidence. She made them feel pretty again with their balding heads. You are doing a lot. And you mentioned the different societies. Be careful about naming a list of people according to the manual. Name the important ones, the organization, I like that, and then thank the other people afterwards. Pat, good luck Friday night, I'm going to be in the audience.
Now that the 3 evaluations are done, timer, can you turn off the red light and give us the timer?
I didn't know what it was.
We have Jonathan Dunn evaluating James Rick's speech. He spoke for 3 minutes, 48 seconds. He does not qualify. Alan Lampier evaluating Charlie Bombalier's speech, 4 minutes, 10 seconds. He does not qualify. Toni Kilos evaluating Pat Stoner, 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
There was no need to vote for this evaluation. Functionaries to give us their reports, and we'll start with Stephen, the grammarian.
Mr. Evaluator, I had quite a lot of stuff to write down today. The use of the word plucky. There's some interesting uses of plucky tonight. I shared an idea about the definition of the word plucky, meaning having or showing determined courage in the face of difficulties. Therefore, I'm not sure how Table Topics is a plucky segment, or how it was Jay's title of the speech was a plucky title. However, saying Pat should be a bit more plucky and calling FDR plucky president very good uses of the word. Of the other interesting uses of grammar that I heard this evening, when introducing Linda, Jonathan, you were using the plural as the indeterminate pronoun, that they haven't done it before, when it was a she versus a plural. This is actually apparently grammatically accepted these days, but it still sounds weird to me. This is why when I'm doing the awards, I generally try to use some other substitution than the pronoun, such as this facilitator, this Toastmaster, our next presenter, something to that effect. Linda's, trust me, I'm regular to get us moving really well. Lots of verb and subject mismatches. That's my favorite ones. There was no houses behind us. There was no trails. These are all plurals that should have used the plural verb form. Sometimes we see things every day. I certainly hope we all see things every day. Unless you're blind, in which case I'd expect you not to. There was in James, in your speech, talking about the trauma. We each have a trauma, and we're going to always have one or about to have one in the middle of it. What does that have to do with this, was what you actually said at one point. I understood the that to mean trauma, but I had no idea what the this was. So I was very confused. This is for some reason, pronouns were popping out on me today. That, this, it, thing, all the substitutes were not always as obvious. Charlie, fear is never really conquered. It's a great statement, but there are two things I would say about it. It's in passive voice, is conquered, and the addition of the use really takes away from the impact. Turn it around to active voice. You never conquer fear. That becomes a much stronger statement. I'm going to turn it over. What is it that you're turning over, and how are you going to turn it over? I'd like to see you pick it up and turn it over. Linda was a weird little kid. What makes for a fun Toastmaster? A disfavorite was lima beans. Is disfavorite a word? I'm still trying to figure that out.
I don't think it is.
Even better, this summer and ongoingly. What is that word? I'm trying to figure some of those things out. Such as the next statement I wrote that, and things like that. I have no idea what those were referring to. What the hell are we talking about? With that said, Jonathan loves his cliches. And a stretch rubber band, that was a neat phrase. I'm just waiting to see what snaps though. Very textbook done. It sounded odd. And the last part for Pat, you had a lot of extra phrases you didn't need, and similar to what I'd suggest with Charlie, cut them out and you'll find something a little better. Instead of hearing, I would like to give, I'd like to mention, I do want to mention, I want to talk about, I want to give, I want you to know that. All of those things you said in there, and there are others I didn't catch. If you cut all of those things out, things get much tighter and much more impactful. That's my report, and
Thank you, Stephen. Now we'll hear Susan Morgan and tonight's report.
If you may have noticed me just sitting here with my eyes closed, I was listening very carefully. I was not sleeping. James, I noted 2 double clutches and 3 bridge words. Linda, we had 4 ahs and ums, 4 double clutches, and 7 bridge words. But you were up there all the whole time, so that's pretty good. Charlie, I only noted 1 double clutch. That's extremely good. Pat, I noticed that you were using just a lot. I'm just so happy. And I think that was kind of a clutch, yeah, of some, more of a crutch word.
You better give me that big while you're talking.
I know. I'm really mad at that. So I put you down for 3 of those, and I wanted to note that you had a couple of the tongue clicks. just so you're aware of it. Renju, you had 1 double clutch and 2 bridge words. Toni, I counted 3 bridge words. Stephen, you had 1 ah. You had 1 double clutch and 1 bridge word. Mark, I counted 1 double clutch and 3 bridge words.
Back in the 40s.
Emma, I heard 3 ahs and ums and 3 bridge words. And there might have been more, but I was just interested in watching you, so I didn't close my eyes and listen.
I did the same thing as you, so.
At any rate, Alan, you only had 1 ah or which is excellent. I know how that is. You did get 5 double clutches, and I won't even tell you how many bridge words. Quite a few big bridge words, so that was more you saying and.
Well, listen, I'm graduating from the O's, I'm going to the bridge words.
Yeah, and then you'll just, bridge words. And then Jonathan, I only caught 2 bridge words. And that's my report this evening.
Thank you, Susan. I think I have some things I'd like to talk about for the meeting, but while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and vote for most improved Toastmaster, so we get that out of the way. Now, my observations for the meeting tonight, first of all, we did start on time, which is a good thing. Second thing is we had some changes, and the fellow Toastmasters that were in attendance stepped up to fill some last-minute gaps. So, kudos to you, Toni, for taking the secretary notes. Kudos to you, Alan, for stepping in as evaluator number 2. Linda, kudos for bringing our light back. Jorge, kudos for conquering the timer. And Renju, kudos for stepping into a new role. Also, with the distractions, Charlie, I'd like to say that I like the way that you kept focus when the timer went off, letting us know the turkey was done. That was good. And then the other thing is, we're all here in the meeting, and I know the very first thing that the Sergeant at Arms says is if you have a cell phone, please make sure it's on silent. All those little things do add up over time. Linda, I like the way you personalized animals to your growing up in your life. That was really interesting. I could relate to a few of those animals.
There you go.
Also, nobody was paying attention. Also, we have some signs in place. If you notice, there's a sign on the door that says meeting in progress. Please come down the hall and to the other door. That helps us from getting distracted in our meetings. A couple other things that I noticed was, Linda, there was a couple times we forgot to take a minute for the comments. Just to reiterate, comments are very important, evaluation is very important. We all look forward and anticipate constructive feedback from our peers, so we want to make sure we give everybody an opportunity to do that. Everybody had introductions tonight, which was good. It was a smooth transition from speaker to speaker. Overall, I would say that we had a good meeting, and I'm ready to turn it over to our president, Mr. Jonathan Hubert.
Thank you, Mr. Livery. I am guessing somewhere along one of these tables is a sign-up sheet. It's Miss Cell Phone. General Evaluator, please come back up, and we need to add to this report.
You want me to go through next?
Please, that'd be great, Toni. Thank you.
We have 3 speakers, Toni, Jorge, Nikki. Mark is our table topics master. We have a couple of functionaries, Pat and Alan. We need some biggies here. Toastmaster, general evaluator, and 3 evaluators. Any hands?
I'll be an evaluator.
Oh, right.
I would love to be an evaluator.
You want to evaluate me?
I want to evaluate too as well, Toni.
Okay.
Please.
That's Charlie, John, one more?
Susan, I think so.
Susan, did you,
I could do general evaluator.
oh, general, okay. Fabulous.
Oh, what? Yeah, no, not next week, sorry.
Okay, the following week?
Following week, I can do that.
Okay.
I put myself down for vote counter, but I can do general evaluator.
Not next week?
No,
Oh,
next
okay,
week.
the following, I see it. Okay. Toastmaster, Toastmaster. Going once? Going twice? We're gonna go 25 times if we have to. General evaluator? Okay, well, I'll have Nikki do this. I don't see any signups except Jorge and Alan for functionary roles for our contest. So give this some thought. Again, gosh, weren't you guys funny today? Just put it in a speech. Give it a little 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. And I know
What's the time limit for those speeches?
5 to 7 minutes for the humor speech, evaluation 2 to 3 minutes, exactly like what we're rehearsing here. There will be a timer. You can be disqualified if you are under or overtime. That's it. Thank you, John.
Guess, what did you think of the meeting tonight? Eric,
Eric.
Eric's the bottom up.
Eric and Emma.
I've never heard that before.
All right.
I've never gotten confused with my brother Eric.
My mind's still exhausted.
And the dogs.
Well, that, but that's not usually by another person, so it's just mom. Or myself. I confuse everybody all the time, so. It was really good. I heard Pat doing a lot of jumping around and kind of going, her voice was pitching a bit sometimes. I caught that a little bit, so just letting you know. And otherwise, it was really, really good, and yeah, watching the people is really fun, and hearing everybody doing all the others with the speeches, and then the batteries might be dying on that.
No, I figured it out.
So, other than that, everything's good.
Thank you, Emma. Sister Riggs?
Awesome. I think everybody really nailed it tonight. I really love the camaraderie. I am so pleased to listen to your critiques because there was a gentleness as well as constructiveness to all of your evaluations of the speakers and the different people involved that you had to critique or that you had to give comments to. And I was very much impressed with that. And good thing I'm not a good thing I'm only a guest because I am humming and hawing. But it was very interesting and very informative, and it's been a pleasure for me to be here with you. Am I allowed to ask any questions?
Sure.
Please forgive me because I didn't understand why bridges, so, and, etc. are not acceptable. To me, it's like a bridge or a segue from one section on into another. Is there any reason why they're not acceptable?
There's several people who want to pop up here.
Taken to the extreme, like I like to do, every sentence is connected by an and the and and the and I just string it all together into one long sentence. It's just kind of a habit. If that sentence doesn't need that sentence to make sense, you really should have a simple thought and then end that, possibly a pause, no ums in the middle, and then start your new sentence.
Segues are fine. The thing is, bridge words are generally conjunctions starting a phrase that don't belong there. If you have a nice segue, a nice transition, that's great.
You don't need
It's when you end up with a constant run-on sentence that we're kind of going, and this, and this, and this. Are you ever going to stop?
Okay, the bridge words are okay in a regular sentence like this and that. I would never count that because that's, you needed this and you needed that. But if it's, again, on the beginning of a sentence, or it's just and, or things like, my favorite one is like. So I start the sentence with like, and that like is not needed. So it's a bridge word.
Or we go so.
Yeah, and so is another one of my favorites.
Very good.
Most of us have never listened to ourselves before, we just talk. And Toastmasters give us an opportunity to have somebody listening for us so that we can start to learn to listen for ourselves. I've learned that and can be deleted so many times, it's just always there. Point number one, I don't have to say, and number two is, number two, number three, in conclusion. So when you start listening to yourself on tape, or you start getting some input from people that are listening to you, sometimes it's very overdone, and for me it was at the beginning as well. And I still have a habit of doing that, but we're not used to speaking at a little bit higher function. You know, we pick up things from people that are around us, from teenagers, from people that are not necessarily the most eloquent people. You know, so that's why it's so helpful. So to hear, and the person that's doing that job it's their opinion. But to help you start listening to yourself when you're talking, I think that's the greatest value that it's given me.
Very nice, thank you. I like that comment about listening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. It's awards time. Let's get a drum roll going. We're going to do something different with the first award, because we have a dual award winner. That's getting a Pinchas name and most improved. My man, Alvin Lampier. I'm so glad for the Table Topics Award winner, but we're going to need a drum roll. Our Table Topics Award winner this evening is Mark Blackie. There is no mystery in our Best Evaluator Award winner this evening, but she deserves it regardless. Toni Gittles. Thank you, Toni. And the best speaker, award winner, to cap off the evening, James Riggs. Have a wonderful evening. We look forward to seeing you next week. Meeting adjourned.